Hi, welcome back to the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, which gives me my name, identity, nationality, heritage, and an awesome defense for the war on drugs. It also gives me the authority to champion the cause of my people, who are known as Zion. Now, today we're talking the sixth part of the 17th chapter of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which is the 14th chapter of the Book of Zion. This is the third part of the dissertation. And today we start with Isaiah 44, 1 to 6, which is Zion 14, 28 to 33. Yet now hear Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord, that hath made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear thou not, Jacob, my servant, and thou Jerusalem, who I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. And I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessings upon thy offspring. And they shall spring up among the grass as willows by the watercourses, and shall say one to another, I am the Lord's. And another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord the surname himself by the name of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. Isaiah 44, 1 to 6 tells us, those of us that use drugs, not to fear. The God of Israel, the Gray, have chosen both you and Israel. All of us that chose the Gray will be pardoned. We will be protected and justified by the ones that created us. The Gray have the means to provide for us. They forgive us our ignorance, and many of us will trust in the Gray. The children of Zion will take surnames of Israel in honor of the promise of the ancient Gray. The Gray, in turn, will protect us from our enemies and teach us a better way, providing us with the means to overcome our suffering. The Gray alone are God. The Gray are the true Redeemer, the true King of Israel and Zion. The Gray are the Lord, who are hosted by the Gray human hybrids. The Gray are the ancient gods. They are the only physical God of earth at this time. Hosea 4, 1 to 9, Zion 14, 34 to 42. Hear the word of the Lord, your children of Israel, you children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heavens, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive, nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priests. Therefore thou shalt fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. And as they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore have I turned their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people, and set their heart on their iniquity. And there shall be like people and like priests, and I will punish them for their ways, and reward them for their doings. Hosea tells us that the Gray have a controversy of their own with humanity, because there is no truth, and there is no mercy, and there is no true knowledge of the Gray. This controversy is with all of humanity, not just with the Zionite children. Our wicked ways have come back to haunt us. Our society is guilty of many things, especially lying, swearing, killing, stealing, and committing adultery. These are all very evident in our society, especially in regards to President Trump, who is being investigated for impeachment. He embodies all of these evil traits. The Gray are going to do to society what the House of Reps is doing to Trump. Now remember, I wrote this before the end of Trump's impeachment. Keep that in mind. They break out and blood touches blood. This can mean medical problems like AIDS or pandemic viruses. But it could also indicate transfusions, or, as already discussed, junkies sharing needles. But no matter how you call it, we have blood touching blood, and there are more than a few outbreaks of disease in our recent history. Oh my Lord, how prophetic was that? When I wrote this, the coronavirus was already in our population, but it had not yet surfaced. I believe this was in early January when I wrote this. Now, Hosea is telling us about the effects of climate change on our planet. In verse 3, the loss of wildlife and fish in the sea is clearly foreseen by the ancient Gray. But we are told in the next verse not to start blaming each other because it's not going to accomplish anything. It's like blaming a priest for an unanswered prayer. Who takes the blame doesn't matter because climate change is going to destroy the society as a whole. Now, verse 5 says that the Gray will destroy the false religions that allowed the destruction to come about anyway. The priests and prophets and the Holy Mother will be proven false and rejected by all but the most ardent believers. The appearance of Zion and her fulfillment of prophecy will prove all other testimony invalid. The next two verses tells us that the reason the people of Zion are destroyed is because of our ignorance. Because we individually reject God, we refuse to even look at the Torah. We don't have a clue that the Bible foretells who and what we are. We lack the required biblical narrative. That is why my people suffer so much in this society. We needed to read the Bible, but we didn't. Each generation of Zion since our creation has degraded because we reflect our human traits. We don't know that we have other more powerful traits to follow. Our lack of knowledge has led us down a regressive path. Knowledge is power, and we are powerless because we don't know what the Bible has to teach us about ourselves. The Gray have decided from ancient times that as long as the people of Zion remain ignorant of their true heritage, the Gray would treat the entire population as human. They show no mercy to us. We will not be treated as Gray until we choose to become aware of our Gray connection. That has been the plan all along. Until we read the prophecy, we are to remain at the mercy of the humans that oppress us. The Gray do not believe in the use of force. They must wait until we invite them to return to humanity. We won't do that right without reading the instructions left to us. So, it's up to the people of Zion to learn the prophecy in order to fulfill it. Over the past two biblical generations, 40 years, the people of Zion have come into being. Until the 1930s, the use of drugs has been minuscule. Very few people throughout history have used drugs, as the people of Zion today do. Those people were marginalized. Very few laws were needed in regards to drug use. but the Zionites' use of drug is unique. Traditionally, drug use was medicinal or spiritually orientated. The doctors prescribed drugs to heal. Shamans and occultists use drugs to attain a higher state of consciousness. Both, but very both, but very few people use drugs for personal use outside of alcohol. The opioids, like heroin and opium, in Asia are the closest we come to. But that drug war was trade based more than health based. The opioid dens were far less prolific than the drug use of today. The opium addicts rarely used other drugs. The biggest difference between the people of Zion and drug users of the past is that we have a society of our own. We are different from every other group of people on the planet. We are a separate community within the larger population. We have our own form of identity. We have our own moral code of conduct. No other historical population of drug users had a sense of identity. But because we failed to learn of our identity, we have become more and more like the humans we live among. We have embraced too much of the society's norms, like violence and self gratification. Our lack of knowledge has made us less than we were meant to be. That is why the prohibition became the war on drugs. We let ourselves be victimized by the humans because we rejected the Torah and our Creator who wrote it for us. We didn't know that the Creator created us so that we could speak to them on humanity's behalf. So, because of our lack of knowledge, the governments were free to enslave us. But the next two verses condemns the government for the cruelty. The Great Pledge to repay humans for the wrongs that they have done to the people of Zion. They are accused of letting the cruelty go to their heads and their hearts, condemning their souls. They have become hypocrites. They condemn us for doing the same things that they do. We use drugs, they use drugs. We are priests, they have priests. They punish us for our wrongs, but they do far worse, and will also be punished. They will reap what they have sown. What they do to us will be done to them, because they are just as guilty as we are. But, thanks in large part to them, we've already done our time in hell for all of our sins. We may be like them in way too many ways, but we are forgiven. That is when we choose to reject our human ways and become more like the grave. Our suffering has prepared us for a much better life. We owe our enemies a debt of thanks for the hell we've been through. We are on our way to heaven, i.e., Zion. So the grave will punish our enemies for all their wrongdoings as we enjoy the reversal of fortune. But they only have themselves to blame. While my people sin in ignorance, they sin in hypocrisy. They have always had the knowledge of the prophecy, yet they have chosen to do the opposite of what they know to be God's will. So they will suffer for their sins. And we're going to end there today, this time. Next time we will take up with Isaiah 46, 3 and 4. So, until then, may the gray watch over you, protect you, guide you, keep you safe from harm, and teach you right from wrong. May you always be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light. Stay happy and high, my people. Know that I love you. Later, because I'll never say goodbye.